everybody. Good morning. We are here for another CCPIA Roundtable monthly. It is June 10th, and summer is well underway right now. It's getting hot here in Oklahoma, that's for sure. And so, as we get ready for the summer month, I'll open our roundtable discussion with this because I see here we've got a little sprinkling of new and old, and as far as experience, not age per se. And I always realize in the residential world of home inspections that summer, right, spring to summer is always kind of the hot season, right? That's always you always expect to kind of get busy at that time. You know what? Commercial necessarily isn't that way. Um, if you would think about it, commercial often, and what I have found to be true, is the busiest at the very beginning of the year and the entire fourth quarter. And the reason that is, obviously, if you're thinking about it from a business standpoint, is everybody is gearing up to go over their financials for the year and project for the following year. And so I have found that people are always ready to open the conversation up. So, just a little tidbit from a sales perspective, if you have any sort of sales funnel that you're working on them hard throughout the year, often fourth quarter is one of the times you can drop the hammer down and really start scheduling more of those. I have found that to be true over the last couple of years where the first of the year we seem busy, and then there's kind of a lull in the summer. We'll get several a month, but it slows down, and then just like that, end of August comes, and all of a sudden, we're doing more than we thought we could handle, and then it just comes like that all the way up until probably early February. So now that could change for you, everybody geographically, obviously. We don't really get winter here in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri area. We don't really have winters, if you will. So I know some of you guys, when you have winter, it's like Siberia and you're shut down. So I mean, obviously that's going to put a damper on it. So your summer might be your hot time, but just a thought as you start getting into this, right? We're in June, you'll get some inspections in, but just be gearing up for some of those times like fourth quarter because in this industry, right, we're all speaking to everybody with a business vernacular and understanding their business goals and their needs are important as you do sales to them. But just know that fourth quarters is a hot cake. So if you haven't yet put yourself together, now's a good time to do it and see what fourth quarter turns out for everybody. So anyway, welcome. I will turn the floor over to anyone who has a conversation or question they want to dump out. This is a perfect forum for basic questions and in-depth questions. So there isn't anything wrong. We often will dive into different types of scenarios. Most of you have probably been on these calls before. So I'll dump it over, see if anybody wants to start something, and we'll kind of weave it in from there.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give it a shot. I'm John Ajinga. I'm with Inspector Prime. I'm actually, I joined last month, CCPI last month, not to become a commercial inspector, but to learn what you guys need from your software. So I'm developing a software solution along with my colleague, Jeff Womelsdorf here. And we developed something that I think is fantastic already and in line with ComStop. But what I'd like to propose is a discussion about pain points that you currently have in getting the walkthrough survey done efficiently on site with the reporting software, and on the back end, what you'd like to see all-in-one solution for your commercial inspection software.
Well, if you email a bunch of us, or that would be great, and we could, we can answer that in the comments. Also helpful. Are you a member of the CCPIA?
I am, yes.
Well, a full member, right?
I'm a full member. Yes, I'm a paying member. I'm going through the classes right now. Again, due date.
Oh, so you're currently in the network. I got it. Okay.
Yes, correct. Yes. Yep.
So we've all had that same pain point where we're trying to develop something that'll help us, go from beginning to the end, and using the software. And we've all had the same issue. Lance can tell you his pain points there pretty well, and we're all basically it's very difficult. With everybody just has a software that was for houses that they're kind of like then creating a template to the ComSop, and so far no one's ever really hit our needs. But whoever hits it will hit the jackpot and pretty much get all of us.
That's the intent. Just to give you an overview of what we've got so far and the way that our business model is. We are developing a system, and it is specific to commercial inspectors, specifically the ComSop. It already can handle, of course, full reports with multiple units, and you can display it in a custom client portal. When I say custom client portal, you can customize it to any client, each client that you have. Not only that, but it also has built-in equipment schedules. You build within the system, on-site cost to cure sheets, and every single ancillary report, so to speak, that's in the ComSop is there as well. So fire door inspections, radon mitigation system inspections, accessibility inspections, green feature reports, as well as questionnaires that you can send your clients to a simple link, and it feeds into your system and you get it all there, and it's presentable to your client right there. More
Well, I
important,
think a few of the things we all need is if you have multiple inspectors working on the same inspection, are you going to have that ability?
absolutely, sir. Yep, it's
Are you going to have an app so we can do it on site and then finish it off in the office?
Yep. The beautiful thing about this is that Jeff and I started this not to build something similar to everybody else. We are not a SaaS. We are a one-time purchase system with the only recurring cost being your back-end account through Airtable. Has anybody ever heard of Airtable?
Sure.
Okay, so this is an enterprise grade backend that we're building on, which means that Jeff and I don't have to worry about coding a proprietary software that kind of puts our users in a corner. This system, Airtable, we're building on is used by hundreds of thousands of companies, to include Fortune 500 companies, which means it just works. So
Are you going to have video and pictures as well?
that we're going to have 100 gigabytes per inspection.
Okay. When are you going to be ready for test drive?
We're aiming for a 1 August launch. And when I say launch, it's not a beta. We're not testing on anybody. We're doing the due diligence here, and we're launching it. It'll be a full system.
And is it Android and Apple?
Android and Apple, and web-based. So
All August 1st.
what's that?
All of that August 1st?
All that August 1st. Yes, sir. Yep. Matter of fact, most of the system's actually done, but it's quite a bit of legwork getting all the knowledge base articles and the tutorials. So
And when are you planning on walking on water?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I see your point, but we didn't get into this to have the same old, same old. So
Well,
the business model is
put me down. Put me down. I'm ready. If
okay.
it does what it says it does, it's we're there. I mean, we're all there.
Yep. And the biggest thing that Jeff and I realize is it's a trust issue too, right? So we're brand new. You gotta be able to trust the folks that are putting this stuff out there. And so that's why I'm here. And we're also
So
international.
is it a one-time purchase or are you going to let us demo it, or is it a monthly situation?
It's going to be, again, we're not a SaaS. We are not a subscription-based company. We want to sell this to you not per user, but per company. And the initial price is $9.99. Now, that sounds like a dream come true. We couldn't cut out all recurring costs for you. So what we're doing is, because it's built on Airtable, once you purchase a system from us, you maintain your Airtable accounts. And what that cost is $45 per month per user after that. For us, it's $9.99 per company. That's a lifetime license for your company, the entire system.
You're going to have to give a copy of it to Lance to test drive first, and before any of us pay money for it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm happy to gain the trust in any way it takes in terms of getting it out there and getting somebody to get their hands on and putting some reports out there. So again, we're not blowing smoke up anybody's, but this is a system we're trying to build, Jeff and I, and you're not going to see a faceless website with AI chatbots for support. When you call us, you're going to get Jeff and I.
And are you integrating with Keystone or with ISN at all?
Not at all. You won't need it. We'll have an office management, business management, commercial, and residential, and you get all that for
All them?
purchase.
Got it.
Yep. So it's a unique system. It's something that's not been done out there, and that's the only reason that Jeff and I wanted to tackle this, is because we're not a rinse and repeat sort of SaaS software company. No, that's the model, but really, I'd like to see, does that solve pain points? What I've put out there so far in terms of, hey, if you can do all of your commercial reporting within one system. You're not going anywhere. So you're doing your report, you're doing your ancillary reports, you're doing your questionnaires, if you use those, and you're doing your cost to cure sheets right in there. And it pulls right from the defects you've already created. So you're not having to, transfer that, copy paste it to a Google Sheet or share another file. Those are the sorts of things I'd really like to pay attention to when you guys have these webinars and these discussions. And of course, we're at inspectorprime.com. Forgive the website, that is a work in progress as we build a system and the website at the same time. But you can always reach out to us. And that, again, that way you can know we are who we say we are. We're not just, faces on a webinar. And
So far, all you are is a bunch of guys with a broken website.
No, it's not broken. It's not broken.
Okay.
What was the name of the software again?
It's Inspector Prime, and it runs on Airtable.
Inspector Prime. I'm just writing it down.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, John.
Absolutely. And again, our chat bubble, it's Jeff and I. It's not an AI chat bot, and our numbers, you're going to get Jeff and I when you call our numbers or if you email us. So,
Okay.
yeah. Right.
So we'll just hang on this topic for just a minute then. So we won't commandeer the whole thing, but regarding,
I don't want to do that.
no, you're good. Regarding reporting, I'm curious just because so Rob and I have our coaching sessions. Most of you hopefully know about that or you've joined us on a coaching session yet. But what a recurring theme is in our coaching sessions, and not necessarily a data grab as far as, what's everyone's issues for reporting, but with reporting, I find that most inspectors are taking way too much time building their reports. And not because the software isn't adequate, it's just people are putting way too much information inside their report. Now, CCPA obviously has our ComSop and we have all of our sections, and people have taken those sections and put them into report templates, and that's fine. We're in the final works of finishing up the updated ComSop right now, and that will be more report centric, which will be wonderful. But I'm interested to know if anyone's willing to share, and I could share first, how long you are generally taking to complete a report. Now, we'll preface with this. You guys can, flog me and burn me in the middle of the street if you need to with it. I don't care. It's not gonna bother me none. Um, I am not a proponent of same day reporting. Just because when we're doing commercial inspections, I think it takes time. There's a lot of data to gather, and putting together the report is the product more so than I think the in-person survey. But let's say, for example, you've got a, you know, 15,000 square foot office space. It's got 20 doors on the inside. It's 3 story. It's pretty simple. It's only going to take you a couple of hours to do the actual in-person inspection, if that. So how long is a report like that taking you guys generally? I'm interested in a few of you in particular because I know you've been doing it a while. So someone like Tony, how long would it take you to do a report like that? And not necessarily what report writer you're in, but just, what's your general process of finishing that and start to finish? Let's say you just started the inspection. Are you collecting data in the field and building the report as you go? Or are you just building the report offsite? What's the process look like?
Most of the report for us is built off-site. It depends on who I have on my team and the particular project that we do. For my part, when I collect data out in the field, because I've been doing this for 27 years now, I typically have a voice recorder with me and my camera, and that's it. I go through, I'm taking some notes, and taking pictures, and I assemble everything back at the office. My guys will typically go through a combination of app, a combination of voice notes and their camera. And then you're right, the pain point is getting everybody's stuff together. And how
Right.
long is it going to take for everybody to finish their portion of it, depending on how many people are there? We have 2, 3, 4 people on site. It's like herding cats,
Hmm.
trying to get everybody to get their stuff together and then have it be cohesive. So the first thing that I had to do was create the template
Right.
and have everybody familiar with the template so that we're all dropping information into the same place so that when we merge everything, everything is in the right place. Um, that's my biggest pain point is merging everybody's stuff because we don't all do stuff on the app on site. Otherwise, we'll be there for 3 days instead of 2 hours. And then just getting that report out.
Let's see. Anybody else want to add to it as far as how long it's taken? I can ask someone like a Dove, because I know he's done several as well.
No,
But I,
I'm saying
I can-
we're pretty much there with Tony. It's the
yeah,
same situation because none of the softwares out there do what we need. So it ends up taking us probably 2 to 3 hours on the average. Sometimes even longer, but I'd say that's about right. And they can go 4 hours or more, but I say 2 to 3 is the average in the
yeah,
office. There's only so much you can do on site because commercial is not like residential. It's not cookie cutter.
sure.
So,
David, you were
so
finger your
Dove,
fingers.
are you doing a lot of your pictures and report stuff on site, or just doing all pictures and bringing it back?
Both.
Okay. And Lance and I had this conversation, and I'm going to be newer, obviously. So when you're only doing 1 or 2 commercial inspections a month, and you don't know where everything is in your template because you got to bring back in your software and like, oh, this goes here. That one I did, it was a train wreck of a building. I did one last week that was a government building going up for auction, and it was vacant for years. It was probably a building that was built like in the 40s.
Hmm.
So there was just a lot of stuff wrong with it. I mean, they closed up chimneys behind drywall, and no chimney caps and all this stuff. So it honestly, it probably took me like 6 hours to actually finish the report. When it only took me like 3.5 hours to do the inspection, it probably took me 6 hours because I'm putting everything where it needs to go. And I'm by myself going, shit, this isn't to the point of John's his software. I use Spectora, but I'm using it once or twice a month for commercial.
Hmm.
I got to put this here. I got to put that there. So yeah, I can't do it same day, and I don't want to because it's just building my repetition in.
And
Yeah.
So that was my
Hey
problem.
Lance, one of the things that I'm very excited to start using is I just bought a little device called Plod.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure you've probably seen it.
Hmm.
I was we were at IEB recently,
Hmm.
and one of the guys sitting next to me had this little thing that looks like a credit card
Yes.
on on the table, and he started telling me about it. And it's basically recording everything. And then
Hmm.
about 5 minutes later, he shows me the download and transcription of everything with AI and broken down into categories
Hmm.
and summarized. And it blew my mind. So I went out and bought one. I haven't actually used it yet. I'm going to start using it, but I'm hoping that that is going to be it's going to alleviate some of the pain points in commercial, even residential. Like when we do multifamily, I do the same thing. We're going in and out of units, and so I want to capture as much information. I usually use a voice recorder, but if this
Right.
thing's already attached to the back of my phone and I'm just
Right.
talking into it, and then I just have it transcribe everything for me, then it's just copy and paste.
That's right. Yeah. He's talking about a product called Plod, Plaud AI.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah. You guys can find that online, and he's right. It just kind of sits on the back of your phone. It's essentially like a business
Super
card.
thin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it categorizes your voice audio texts, and I'm sure as AI gets better, we'll see AI implement more into reporting. Obviously, that'll be the forefront of what people are going to be messing with over the next couple of years. But he's right. Something like that is pretty handy, especially if you're just annotating and you're walking around and taking pictures and making comments about things. It can almost line up to a point where you can just and I haven't used one yet. I haven't purchased it, but it's on my list. Is it one of those things, Tony, where it will kind of dump it into a some sort of like Google Doc or something for you, and you can
Yeah.
organize it? How does it deliver it?
You can organize it. There is the free version of Plod, and then there's different levels of paid subscription. I have not uh, delving into the paid versions yet because I want to give it a shot. But what I saw from the guy who was sitting next to me at IAB is it broke everything down. It categorized everything, and because it's AI and it transcribed every single last word. And he just had it sitting on the table and it was recording everything from the person who was speaking. And so I was very excited about that because if I can go through a report and annotate as I'm going along, taking my photographs, and then by the time I make it back to the office, all of my comments are transcribed. I
Hmm.
mean, I assume that's going to cut my report writing in half because it's literally just going to be copying and pasting.
Right. Of course.
Now someone can create a software that will take that AI, that transcribing, and put it right in your report for you. Someone's got
Yeah.
gold.
I
Yeah.
think I want to touch on David's points and Tony's points. Again, because Jeff and I are building on the back of Airtable, and if you look up, take a few minutes, look up Airtable. You'll get an idea of what this back end is going to do for you guys when we get this system set up. Is we're going to have something like that. It has one of the most powerful AI assistants in existence right now in terms of taking a business's data and transcribing and you being able to actually customize the AI prompts within your own system to your needs. There's a lot to take in here, but so David, to your point, it seems like you're spending a lot of time in your current template because each commercial property is unique, and you don't know what the heck you're going to find. And then so then after the fact, you're going to have to
Yeah.
essentially just move a ton of things around.
Yep.
We believe we've solved that problem with our system, and I really got to get a demo, but you're not gonna have to do that, right? You're not gonna have to do the moving around bit. Once you have a template you're happy with, and it's already broken down in systems like the ComSop is, you simply build your narrative library the way you want to, and it's going to be flexible enough to meet a lot of the needs of these unique commercial properties got out there. Tony, to your point for AI, again, it's got AI built in. It's not forced on you. Actually, the Airtable with our system, you get 500 free credits, and then it's like $6 a month add on for that per user, and that gives you 3,500 credits. So it's a credit thing, but it doesn't use a lot, and it's extremely versatile. Not only that, but again, you can customize it. This is not a system where Jeff and I are going to control your experience. Again, we're building the front end for you. We deliver that to our clients, and then you all get to customize literally everything without going through us, without going through a chat bubble and saying, hey, this is can we get this in the next feature? No, you actually can customize it and build on top of that. Tony, I'm going to take
Yeah.
your comments there. I'm going to build on that. We can
Okay. The
build
other
that
thing
through.
I'm curious of if anybody in the room here has used a product like Company Cam,
Yeah.
where you're out in the field. Have you used it, Lance? What do you
Yeah. I've
think?
used it in the past. Yeah.
What'd you think?
It was fine. I mean, it's very basic and
Yeah, because
it's
I keep
used,
seeing
but
it pop up on my feed, and they're building in their AI, and it categorizes your photographs into different categories, and then even annotates them to a
Mhm.
certain degree. And so I'm just looking for different things that can relieve some of those pain points and make the flow a little bit easier, so that if you're out in the field, by the time you get back to your office, everything is broken down for you already.
Yep.
Well, and I have done reporting differently over the years than what has been introduced now. So I learned to do reporting from an engineering standpoint in the past.
Okay.
So not to use dirty words like PCA, but truly what I learned was how to write those. Now, the good thing about obviously the ComSop and CCPA is we have created standards and helped people understand how to do your basic inspection, your walkthrough survey, how to do an accessibility survey, and then of course cost to cure. Um, but I have kind of I'm at the camp and you guys can tell me what you have traditionally done, but I put all my pictures traditionally at the very end of my report. Um, I will fill everything out and give them the information. I always like to say that PDF is the best version ever of any report for a commercial, because that's why all these companies stick with a Word document, because they can put everything they want in a document like that, and it's clean and it's formatted and it flows really well. And the first 4 pages are for the CEO and the board, and then page 5 through 30 is for the maintenance team. And so that's how I've always looked at it when I put my reporting together. And
Your
everyone's going to be
photos are at
different.
the end.
Yeah. So what I'll do is um, you'll have an introductory, and then you will have an executive summary with all the information about the property. Then you'll have a list of all the immediate issues. So they have that. And then that flows into, here's an immediate cost, and then here's like a projected 10-year cost, and it's just general. And then it'll give them an idea. Obviously, that flows into all the immediate issues. And then I may put a cost table at the very end. I don't put it at the beginning. And then what happens is then you have your normal stuff you collect in the field, right? So it's like, what type of roof is it, all this and all these different sections, all
Mhm.
that's filled out. And then I always keep things as kind of like a low, moderate, high conversation. And it's just here's a list of all the things that I found that were in that kind of category. I list them out, I write out narratives, whatever's necessary. And then at the very end of the report, I have two different parts in the appendix. I have actual issues pictures, and then I'll have another section that's just general photos if they
General
need it.
photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
I
don't
think
put a
this
lot
is
of them in
where,
there.
yeah, I think this is where we need to, as inspectors, and even I still suffer from this, and I've done, hundreds of commercial properties, is differentiating ourselves from residential inspectors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the same type of inspection, and it's not the same type of report.
Mm-hmm.
And, you don't need 400 photographs for a commercial property. You need a handful, like you said, the actual defects and the basic general photos that the investor's looking for. They
Right.
they they want to see the general photos of the interior, general photos of the exterior, and maybe a couple of aerials, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, and this will lead into my next question for everybody too. And I think it's a good transition. David, I see your index finger. Let me
Yeah,
hold on. Let
because
me say what you need to say real quick. Go for it.
yeah, real quick, because the way you just said that would make me go, well, why couldn't I use something like Claude AI, narrate as I walk through my entire inspection and narrate the whole thing of these are my criticals, and it summarizes everything, slap all my pictures as I'm walking around in the ass end of the report and be done. Am I way off base thinking that?
You could if you wanted to. That's the good thing about commercial is,
Because if
what
you
will,
put all your pictures at the end and I can
There's
transpose everything with Claude at the front.
Depending on the client, there's a general structure
Mhm.
to a commercial report that's going to be more like a PCA, which a lot of these higher end or these bigger ticket clients are looking for. They're
Okay.
familiar with that structure, like Lance just said right now. There's the executive summary, there is all of the immediate issues. Then you go into the financials as far as projections and that kind of stuff. And then the photos, which I like that idea. But this is what the industry is used to. For me, if I'm going to use something like Plod, it's going to be to get all of that stuff so that by the time I get back to the office, all my comments are there. Now I'm going to just copy them and drop them into the appropriate sections of the structure of the report, and it will reduce my typing of summary
Mhm.
for the report.
Yeah. Okay.
Tony,
So I think that leads
I'm
into
sorry,
our,
man.
our next question, because, and I think it'll be a good question to ask. Um, and let me figure out how to formulate it the best way. When we do our commercial from our personal company at Focus, we 90% of my clients aren't in the due diligence phase. They are people who already own a property, or they are needing maintenance, or it's a portfolio owner or an HOA or something of that nature, because that's just how we set our sales up. So I'm very and that obviously, like Tony said, dictates how my report's going to go. They don't need 100 pictures of electrical panels because it's their building, right? They don't need to know what their building already looks like. So that's different. Um, I'm very interested to know what client types everyone has been experiencing lately. And even if you've done one commercial inspection, this year. I'm still interested to know if everyone wants to chime in, if you have done any, who was your client and what was the process? Were they buying? Were they selling? Did they come to you because they were owning the building and they needed maintenance? Were they about to do a remodel? What was it? I'm very interested if everybody wants to even throw one out, because this is really good for me too. Just as far as formulating the type of individuals everyone's seeing right now. Because, like I said, fourth quarter's hot, but it's only hot for certain client types. And as we go through the climate, obviously, of what's happening in our political and geography type world, things are different for everybody in every state. So. I'll turn it over if anybody wants to start. Name one type of client you've been working with, and maybe you're seeing it a lot.
I've been doing investors a lot, and most of them are asking for PCA.
Okay.
And they've had the same clients now for almost 12 years. I also do a lot of work for utility,
Hmm.
and they're mainly just inspections.
So, Richard, when you say investor, what would be an example of an investor that you've worked with recently?
They're buying old Wawas and converting them into rental properties, or they're trying to resell them. Like a lot of apartment houses lately. And so lately I've been getting a lot of large office buildings, 87,000 square feet, 30,000 square feet, all bigger ones.
And have those clients been an investor just buying an office building, or was it an already leasee that's working there and they said, I'm going to buy the building because it came up for sale? Do you
I've
understand?
had both.
What is it?
I've had both.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Anybody else want to throw an example out?
I haven't, I'm newer to the commercial side, but
Mhm.
since being in Boulder with you a few months ago, Lance, I've had several investors on apartment complexes. And just here recently, I've done 5 urgent cares in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
Never had one till 3 weeks ago, and now I've had 5 of them.
Now, are those urgent cares, are they doing annual inspections?
No, they're selling the buildings.
Okay.
The urgent
Okay.
care is staying in them. Every one of them's been a 5-year-old building. Same urgent care that's in them, just different person buying the building every time.
Gotcha. Okay. I've experienced that too before in the past, but sometimes places like urgent cares or pulmonary clinics or dialysis clinics, a lot of those have to have annual inspections. And it's not like an annual, you're going to get shut down. It's just those building owners want to stay on top of maintenance needs. So I've had engineering groups reach out to us to do PCAs for them on those. So, okay. Anybody else? Anybody else want to add a client they've worked with recently? Client type.
I've just done a couple resales lately.
Okay. Okay.
My name's Mike. I'm
Hey,
kind of
Mike.
new to the group here. Um, and recently I've had a small time investor who's kind of new to the investing game, and he's looking at restaurants, rental property, just really small old structures. And that's the type of investor I'm kind of working with right now. Haven't done many commercial inspections, maybe 4 small ones. So that's where I'm at. Up here in the Northland, up in Duluth, Minnesota. So a little different up here. I'm the only kind of commercial inspector within 170 miles of this area. So I'm really trying to break in and figure out how to work. My daughter's a commercial real estate agent,
There you go.
and
Oh,
she said
nice.
they don't use inspectors. They just go to, people they have an issue and they'll go to a professional in that field. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to break in with her. So
Well, I'm going to hold that thought and I'll give you an example here in a minute of how to break into that.
awesome.
Anybody else? Any other client types you guys have had?
So we originally got started into it. We had some roof inspections for apartment complexes down in Atlanta.
Okay.
It started with some new purchases. They were just looking, it was low slope roofing, TPO kind of stuff. Because we do roof repairs at our original company. So they had called us out for that. And then when we started getting into it, we're reaching out to some of our clients who were having some major repairs caused from roof issues. So we had kind of gotten some word that there was going to be some interest to do really even just flat roof inspections around town. Because we had some pretty big damages caused by some issues on those because they really just don't know how to maintain them. So that's kind of where we were stepping in with. But we definitely have heard some interest with just solo roof inspections.
Okay.
You got to love going into Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else want to throw their ring in the hat with a client tie? I'll just quickly say we've been working with attorneys lately who are working on behalf of clients that are going through a issue with their new constructed building. So we've had several of those where it's big office buildings or, small strip mall or something that just got constructed in the last couple of years, and the people who are using it are just finding issue after issue. So they're requiring me to come and take a look at it and assess the issues and give them a simple list of what's happening. So I've had that quite a few lately, actually, which those always tend to lead to litigation. And I really don't want to be an expert witness if I don't have to, but I also get paid to be an expert witness. So, it is what it is.
We've been having a challenge with the estimates, proposals, and I know, Lance, you have a system where you do everything online, and you really don't speak much to the client and do that type of thing. You get a short conversation with them, and then you just do it all online. And we're finding it more and more difficult to limit it to that. And because we're finding that several, they're finding us doing that, Google local business where they're finding us on that search,
Yeah.
Google, and then so they're getting proposals from 3 companies, but they're very impatient, just hurry up and then hurry up and wait. It becomes that. It's like, we want this proposal immediately, and then you give it to them, and when you're going to do it, then all of a sudden it changes. And so we're having, just chasing our tail, getting these proposals out. And then when we give them the price, which were very fair prices, it seems that the other guys are just dropping their pants and doing them for less. And, so it's kind of hard just to do with that many proposals without having the conversation. It's a different type of market. We're finding New York now is a lot of people are just dipping their toes back in to mixed use
Right.
commercial and office buildings and seeing opportunities and that type of thing.
Well, with that, the process that we do, and Dove, you are right. Someone will reach out to me just this morning before I got on this call. Someone will reach out. They will ask for pricing, and I will tell them to fill out our proposal request form online, or if I feel like I need to retain them, I'll fill it out with them. And then once they fill that out, then I will have a conversation with them further, and then we'll put a proposal together, and then we'll follow up if I haven't heard them within 48 hours. One thing I would say when you're qualifying people is ask them what their timeline is. Because if it's we need the proposal now so that we can take it to a board meeting tomorrow, but we can't actually get funding to do anything for 3 months, then, it's good to know that up front. And that's going to be hard for some of you guys, not because that process is hard, but kind of like Dove said, people are just wanting prices. And that's going to be the difficult thing, is when you have to figure out what type of client type is in your area. For my area, if anyone's just manically trying to find pricing, then they may not be my type of client I want to work with. If that's everybody that you're dealing with, then yes, there's going to have to be some different approaches to qualify how you can get those things out.
If I can chime in, Lance,
Yes, sir.
I borrowed, as you know, because I reached out to you, I borrowed your template for intake,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to say I'm very happy with it. One of the things that Lance's approach is very successful at is weeding out the price shoppers, because you start them with this online intake form, and it walks them through several steps of information that they have to enter, so that you get, as business owners, we know what exactly that they're looking for. And I've noticed that the number of price shoppers from Google who just want an instant quote has dropped off, because I tell them, hey, go in there, fill this out in order for me to give you an accurate quote based on whatever your individual needs are. And when they go in there and they realize they have to go through, a few pages of questions that they have to fill out, the price shoppers will move on. And those typically are not the type of clients that we want to work with. The serious investors, they'll fill it out, and because they understand the logic behind it and the importance of having that information. And then you get on the phone with them after you have that information and you ask a few more questions, then you can put an accurate proposal for them. But yeah, thanks, Lance. That was that was a time saver.
Well, and the only reason that we have the proposal request form, obviously, it's to get the necessary data. But my business partner, well, business owner, and my wife Britt would tell you that if you're not collecting data, you can't grow your company. You don't have metrics to go back on. You don't understand what clients you've had, what's everyone's been requesting and needing. And so, I mean, that's the biggest thing. And we use Typeform. I mean, someone will probably have something baked into their, system eventually to do all this, but we use Typeform because I can run canned reports out of it. And it's wonderful to get whatever kind of data you want. Anybody want to make a note on report writing? There's no report writer right now that really has a great CRM or can collect data and do good reporting. That's another story. But that's why we have that proposal request form. I need to have a good conversation with them, but I need that data. We have to be data driven to grow. And so, Dove, with you guys, a lot of the clients you have, what would you say is the kind of general client type there in the greater New York area? What kind of individuals are buying properties or needing inspections there?
There's no one type. We
Okay.
got the gamut from the serious investors for buying $100 million, building in Manhattan, and then there was an entire loan proposal to the people that are just buying offices and mixed use commercial and strip mall. So you get them both.
Mhm.
We also find another challenge is they don't tell you what they need.
Mm.
And then so you're going a proposal, and then your proposal is like 5,800. And they go, oh, well, we don't want all that. We just want the mechanical, the electrical, the plumbing, the roof. We don't need anything else. You don't need to go into the interior. Just, have a guy for 1,500. Basically, what we have here is, semi-retired engineers doing a four-pager and putting it forward as a commercial inspection and
Right.
for $1,500. And I said, that's not what we're doing. And so
Right.
this has been the recent challenge.
I get it. I get it. So do you guys use a proposal request form or any sort of intake form?
We do.
Yeah.
It's just a point of contention now is I'm under similar to some others here. I'm under the borrow from Lance,
Okay.
camp. And I love your Canva proposal. And so I'm like, and I think I guess you guys didn't understand my question. How much um I place a lot of value in if I got your proposal and I got three other proposals and they were done in a Word doc and I got yours, I'm like, I'm going with that guy, even if he's a little bit more, because it just looks like I'm getting so much more for my money.
Presentation is king. Um, I mean, I didn't create it. Britt did, so I can't take any credit for what our company looks like. But um, it is. If there's anything that you guys can take away from this conversation, it's how you have conversations, how you present your company, what your website looks like. It is your brand, and your brand matters. And when people are doing business to business, having adequate brand awareness and then creating trust immediately is going to be very successful for you. I mean, you can look at most people's websites. I mean, you can go down and look at Tony or Dove's websites, and they have really stellar sites. They've put things together that if a client goes to their website, they know exactly what they're getting. They know what they need. They find it. They can go through it, and this is what I need right here. Um, I think that is the most important thing for all the newbies who are starting out is if you do not have a website that's dedicated to commercial and you do not have a solid online presence that depicts who you are and what you're doing well, then you will be at the end of the foot race right now.
It's a conversation I had a lot with Rob. Is now that the CCPIA is doing a lot of heavy recruiting, and you have all these inspectors that are just starting there to come on in and do that's why we have so much trouble with the reporting. Everybody's just doing an expanded version of a home inspection report, and that's who we're competing against. And so I said, what do we do to differentiate? And now I'm realizing what the people who are serious about this doing it as a profession, because this business is where home inspections was 25 years ago or 20 years ago, when we started. It's basically it's being able to be the most professional in your market to go after those, $100 million buildings, to start going after that type of work and let the home inspectors fight it out for doing the mixed use, 8 apartment building structure. And we're going to start going after the higher end. To do that, we need to look like the best company out there. We want to not only be one of the top five, we need to look like one of the top five and position ourselves exactly there, which is basically your model, Lance.
It's helpful. I mean, everyone else's website's just as good as ours. The only thing that we did that was different was we personalized it and we put ourselves on there and we wanted people to know this is who you're buying the product for. Works really well in our states, right? When you're in the South and like I said, we're in 4 or 5 states, people see your face on there, they see your story. That's one thing. It may not be the same up in the Northeast, right? It may be, well, this is a very business company and that's who we want. We want that type of business. But we also catered to a particular group of people too. We found our our lane and we started running into that. And that's what you'll learn. And as we teach you here at CCPA, understanding to the different client types is you can build an entire business by not doing inspections for people who are just buying properties, right? You can do inspections for literally anyone in the commercial space. Richard had a comment earlier about having investors and he's in a space up there where he's like, I'm not, they just go for the individual who needs to do electrical and that's it. Um, if you are business oriented and business minded and you understand the type of business owners in your area, then you can curate sales for those individuals and you can go after them in a sales market. So for example, if you I don't want to keep using my website, but I use my website when I teach classes too. So it's not just a go see what I've done. It's a great example. And it's again, not me. Britt put it together. I want to give her all the credit for what's necessary. But if you go, you'll see that we are really heavy on education and religious buildings. And that's because I understand those entities really well. And that's just because I've learned and I've grown and I've trained. And that's why people call me to go to schools and colleges and church buildings and religious centers because I understand those client types. And so I can find 500 of them online and just start shooting out emails and calling them and offering them my services because I know how to curate my services toward them if I want to. That is an entire of commercial that a lot of people don't think because when you're coming over from home inspections, you're only thinking of people buying and selling property. And that can be such a small percentage. Now, don't get me wrong. If it's a hot buying and selling season, then you need to be figuring out who your buyer and sellers are because that's going to be, obviously money in your bank every month. But understanding what buildings and client types are in your immediate areas is going to be massive for your research. Um, and you guys are so massive up there in the Northeast and even over in California, guys on the coast, right? There's so many different types to go after. It could be really concentrated in your area, but if you become that guy or that girl, then you have an opportunity to create a business out of it. Will you be, raking in 10 million a year? I'm not sure, but you'll feed your kids. You know what I mean? For sure. That'll happen. I am curious because we don't have a lot of time, but we still have time. Um, what are some other pain points everyone is having with pricing?
You solved my pain point, Lance.
Which was what?
Just do by the day, by the half day, by the day. Figure out your price per day and charge that way for a lot of stuff. It just took a lot of the stress off. Do I charge 10 cents a foot, 20 cents a foot, 30 cents a foot? What is this? What is that? It's like, you know what? Just do it by the day. Made it a lot easier for someone that's newer.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that we're coming up with guys who are charging by the day or by the half day. And that's the issue that we're coming up against. Exactly. We're charging 10 cents a square foot plus $1,000 base. And then we're coming up with guys who are basically expanding their home inspections to do a few commercial inspections and charge by
Right.
the day.
Right. Yep. And that can happen too.
And it's a differentiate. We got to differentiate ourselves. And I think, Lance, you hit on something really important. It just gets me to think now, like the way to get work 12 months a year is to start, targeting like those schools, the colleges, and the commercial buildings that are, and the co-ops and condos all year round work. And then, yeah, you can still, when things are busy and things are really hopping, you can get all those smaller purchases that are happening. But the bread and butter, keep the lights on, pay the mortgage, that's got to come 12 months a year. And that's by doing that, is by positioning yourself. I think you really done an amazing job, and that's pretty much what we're trying to do. While we're doing everything else just to keep the lights on, but that's really where we're trying to position ourselves.
Well, some helpful hints with that then would be create 2 or 3 proposals that are particular prices. So, and it could be, like you said, a full day. It could be just we talk about in our pricing and proposal courses online. And what I taught is you can also do a, per project type fee. So if I'm always doing, the Burrito Shack or the Taco Bell, and it's those type of places, I know I can charge X amount of dollars for that all day, every day without even stepping foot on property, and then maybe add for travel. I would create different proposals that have a certain price point on it and then start going after particular clients and using that in your initial sales tactic. So it might just be your first touch as an email. So you have a whole list of people and you're like, you know what, in this immediate borough or area, it's all schools and churches or small strip centers. Then I know all these areas within, 0 to 15,000 square feet, I can do it for this much money. And then just start emailing them with your stuff and saying, listen, this is what we do as a business owner. You have to understand how to make sure that you continue making money, or at least not losing it in your property. So allow us to do that with you, because a lot of those places don't have good maintenance. They may have a maintenance person or a team, but if anybody knows anything about maintenance, it's completely reactionary, and they're all running around with one leg tied behind their back because they're always trying to keep up. And
Yeah.
so when you come in and say, allow me to be the individual who can help you understand your immediate and long-term needs, allow me to be, that piece of the puzzle you might be missing, then you will start getting interesting conversations. Will you get an immediate sale? Probably not. But if you hit 100 of those every month, then again, keep touching, keep sending education, whatever it is, then eventually that conversation opens back up again. Because maybe they didn't need you today, but next month when their roof fails because they thought everything was in good shape, and then now they have all this water coming in their nursery and there's mold everywhere, then they're going to loop back around to you and you send them that email again. And it's like, hey, it's rain season. And they're going to go, oh, yeah, I should have paid attention to that guy 2 months ago. Let's get that out now. Those are all instances and circumstances where you can, like Dove said, start creating your yearly calendar of inspections, and that's
Hey,
going to look
Lance,
different for
have
everybody.
you used LinkedIn at all to kind of position yourself or reach out to people or companies?
A little bit. I've used LinkedIn a little bit. I'm not very. I'll be honest. I'm not very proficient with social media. Um, LinkedIn's great because if you curate any sort of good link or article for your website or project, you can always share it on LinkedIn and then just add all the brokers, add all the lenders, add all the insurance individuals, add all the business owners you can think of. Anyone and everyone in business for LinkedIn is great to be friends with. Because on Facebook, when you're a home inspector, you're literally just befriending, residential realtors. And if anyone's ever befriended a residential realtor who is a part of a certain group, it's like 1,000 of the same posts because you could tell they just all did a big meeting and they're like, go share this one thing and be successful. And you're like, oh, my entire feed is like, just got back from this conference. Look how busy we are. And you're like, oh, okay. So those aren't the people I want to befriend necessarily, but LinkedIn can be really helpful. If anyone else is having success on any other platform, social media wise, I would love to know how you're doing it. Let's see here. Anybody using social media any other way and have found success with it?
Not on the commercial side, not yet.
residential.
Well, just a question then, how have you used it on the Resi side, or what other side you've been using it for, David?
So I actually probably 3, 4 times a week, I put out educational content like AJ and Preston on things I find in my community. And I actually get jobs from that, probably 3 or 4 jobs a month where, hey, I saw your videos and I love them. And I actually use it I almost want to say a business card a lot of times when people are like, hey, who are you? Check out my inspector_van page. You can see the stuff I find, what I'm finding, how I'm finding it. And they call me because they see my videos, they see my personality, how I talk to people, and I honestly make them for fun.
Sure.
But I pick up 3 or 4 jobs a month just on my social media.
Yeah, absolutely. You can create those same videos for commercial and
Yeah.
send it specifically to business owners.
Hey, Lance, do you get a lot of work from going to conferences, like real estate conferences for commercial, real estate agents, or that kind of work? Do you find that going to having a booth there is beneficial to you?
It can be if you are not as known in the community. So, like if CCIM or BOMA or someone had a big conference and you were able to sponsor it or have a table at it, or something like that, then yeah, it certainly wouldn't hurt to do it initially, for sure. So,
Yeah, one of the things about just going on what you just mentioned about these events, if you're going to spend the money, because CCIM and BOMA, usually their sponsorships are not cheap. And so you really have to think about whether you want to put that money there or put it in another form of advertising, like email advertising or paid, click Google ads and that kind of stuff. If you go to these conferences, what I've learned in attending some apartment association conferences recently, because we're doing a lot of balcony inspections out here in California, is that you have to be very prepared.
yeah,
You have to have your marketing material. You have to have your talking points. You have to have your follow-up more than anything. And that's a whole other animal, just attending and making the most out of these events, because otherwise you're throwing your money away. You really, really have to put the effort forward to attend these events. Otherwise, I if it were me, I'd probably put the money into pay-per-click Google ads instead. Especially if, like somebody mentioned, you're the only commercial inspector in your area. That's probably where you want to put some of your money, is on the Google ads, because the moment people start searching, guess what? You're going to be one of the first people they find.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, quick question for you on this. So first, I'm Jeff, brand new to the group, so good to be here and good to connect with you. Um, in regards to BOMA, the conferences that you have attended, would you say that your conversion rate, though, to genuine leads that might have, turned into legit business did you see that to be kind of bountiful and fruitful, or kind of
Not
flat? If you don't mind
immediately.
sharing.
Not immediately. You have to look at it this way. What you're doing when you attend these events is you're sowing seeds.
Yeah,
And in order for it to actually be beneficial, it's not going to be immediate. You're not going to attend one of the events and then come home and get 10 inspections. You're there to meet people. And now
yeah,
what you do with it after you meet these people, it's up to you. And this is where, if you've sowed your seeds, now you have to water it. Now you have to nourish it. You have to take care of that relationship. You have to build that relationship. And eventually, not all of them will, but some of them will sprout. And some of
sure.
them will grow into something good. But it really depends on the effort you put forward in nurturing those seeds that you've sown. And that stands true pretty much anywhere in the industry. It's not necessarily on events, but particularly in events. You can't go in there and expect that you're gonna walk out of there with 20 inspections. You can walk out of there with 20 contacts, which is beautiful, but now you have to work all of them. You have to stay in contact with them. You have to reach out to them. You have to make the phone calls, invite them to coffee, ask for presentations in their office, and then be present on a regular basis.
Yeah. Now you're spot on. I've been a member of BOMA for a number of years. And the reason that, everything you said makes perfect sense. It does. The reason I was really asking is that within BOMA, a lot of you, I'm sure, probably know this, maybe the entire crowd here, but they have different designations that a BOMA member can earn. One of those being systems maintenance administrator. That's the designation that I've got. And if you read the criteria in order to earn some of these designations, just like CCPIA, they have a very robust support mechanism out there when it comes to education, training, knowledge, staying relevant. So I'm not saying BOMA is a competitor of CCPIA. I don't want anybody to think that I'm suggesting that. They're not. But what you do have is a large component within BOMA that actually possesses a lot of similar knowledge that we have, plain and simple. And so that's really kind of where I was going with asking if you got a lot of good results out of BOMA convention and whatnot. Because I'll tell you right now, me, myself, and I'm sharing a very myopic view here, and I do know that, but I personally would have a hard time justifying, maybe going external when I know that within my circle, my orb here within BOMA, I probably have a lot of peers that have the same degree of knowledge that we possess as an organization at CCPIA. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Well, guys and girls, I don't mean to cut us off here. We could sit here and talk for hours, but for the sake of this round table, we are at 11:03 a.m. And so Central Time anyway, so I don't want to cut it short necessarily, but I will give us the opportunity to close this out. I will say, if you have not had an opportunity to get on the ccpa.org website, certainly do so and hop over to the education and training, and you'll see that we have some new offerings on here. But if you hop over to the fast track courses, that is where we are doing our online Zoom live courses. And so we just finished up a pricing and proposal class the other week. It was a great course. And next week, we're going to be offering the path to winning commercial clients. So if you've already seen the course online, we wrote a course that was understanding commercial client types. Everyone should certainly go take a look at that course, because that's going to break down all the different client types that one might be able to find in commercial property inspections. And again, that goes beyond just are they buying and selling? It's all different types of client types. Now, that's only going to scratch the surface of those types, but it'll give you an understanding. The live Zoom course we're teaching is going to then break all those client types down and tell you how to actually do sales to them, how to cater your conversations to them, how to cater your reporting to them, all of that. And that's going to be a 2-day course. Those are going to be from 8 to noon Central Time. And we'll do them 4 hours each day. So you guys have time in the morning and afternoon to do what you need. But make sure you go check those courses out. We have several more. We're finishing up this week our 3-day intro course in Arkansas and Rogers, and then we'll have more of those posted later on in the year if you haven't had an opportunity to go to those. Those are excellent. But we've been doing some pretty stellar stuff over on our website, so go check it out. Meander around. A lot of new stuff's coming out. We're really excited about delivering it. But over and all, I appreciate everybody. Thank you for being on our call this week and just being engaging and asking questions and speaking. I think that's wonderful. Helps us grow as a community. So I appreciate it. You guys have a great morning, and we will talk again soon.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
good one,
Thanks, Lance.
guys.